this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. We are joined today by the usual, I don't know what to call this little region over here, but Landon's back.
I'm here for a couple days.
Region.
He's here.
This is the best.
I'm McLovin.
Your shirt has so many words on it, man.
Yeah. See that? You like that? You know what it says? It says...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Bro, that looks like a motivational quote that wouldn't stop.
I'm already the voice inside
Oh, that's really good.
my head.
Why did you sing it normal that time?
That's how he says.
Well, that's not how you sang it to me.
Oh.
I think we should hear how it actually sounds to give the shirts. some
Sure, go
context.
ahead.
It's not me. I meant like the video.
Oh, the video.
Like Tom DeLonge actually.
No,
Oh.
I don't want us to get demonetized, guys.
There's no money.
I don't think
If you make it really,
monetized.
you see, if you make it really small, it's called free.
Hey, man, we can roll it back if you want. I'll give you action.
Jesse's also joining us. Welcome back, young man.
What's poppin', Berkey?
Did you forget yesterday was a podcast day?
I did not forget that yesterday was a podcast.
I never know
day.
with you, to be honest.
Oh, I told the fellas last week. I
Mm.
said
he wasn't gonna
Monday
be
I'm
here
not
Monday.
available,
He
but
did say
I
that.
can do the other days.
I can't confirm.
I wasn't even like giving you shit. It's just I assume that from time to time you get a little absent-minded.
Don't blame me that you can't manage your chain of command correctly, Berkey.
All
right.
Did the manager know?
I knew.
The
Manager was on top of it.
That's how it works.
As long as he knew, it was managed.
I knew.
We handled all we needed to handle.
What's PGH?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, my God.
Just
this guy.
it's just Pittsburgh. It's
Yeah.
not
That's
like
our City
a,
Connect jerseys.
Okay.
Are you missing a button,
Color
Matthew?
splash. No, I don't know why they didn't.
like those.
They didn't put one on the G. I guess it would be a little awkward to put one on the
Maybe.
G.
I really like those colors.
It's weird.
Did you know that's a thing in the, I don't know how familiar you are with the Major League Baseball, but now like every team has it's just a scheme to sell more jerseys.
Boston's are
But,
sick.
Yeah, every team has like a kind of a color splash type of
Really?
jersey. They call it City Connect.
Boston's are sick. They're like baby blue and yellow.
I gotta see this. Do we got a
There's
picture
a couple
of this?
really cool
They're super
ones,
sick.
and there are some really ugly
These are
ones.
horrible.
No,
These are trash.
I like them.
The jersey itself is trash. Like
They're very polarizing. Some people love them, some people hate them.
it's too much. It's too much gold for sure. But that aside, like this jersey is like on par with like
This
what
is
I wore at
Boston?
Little League.
Yeah.
Why
it's
are we
Boston.
yellow?
I don't know, but they're sick.
Say that you say that's sick, but that's not too much yellow.
See,
That's
I
too
don't,
much yellow.
If
I
this-
don't.
honestly,
I don't
if
like
this
the
said
Boston.
Pittsburgh-
I like the Pittsburgh way more than the Boston.
Oh, not me. The Boston one's sick.
You like the old
The
school look?
Boston text seems very bland.
I also don't know what hat they wear with this.
They wear the it looks like the Bruins hat because it's that color. It's like the blue, light blue with the yellow B.
Pittsburgh?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Pittsburgh.
I thought you were talking about
No,
Boston.
I could see what hat they were wearing. I don't know what hat they wear with this, but also I think like,
There it is.
oh yeah,
The yellow hat.
it's too much. It's too much gold.
There's no such thing.
It's too much gold. It looks good on them. I won't lie, but I also don't like the PGH.
You don't?
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
If it
font
said
is,
Pittsburgh,
the
I would
font
be
is
fine.
weird and it's really big.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it has to say something different.
Right?
It doesn't have to say something
No,
different.
because
but
Boston's is just Boston.
it doesn't say Beantown. A lot of them say like
Beantown.
a lot of them.
Beantown would be. I feel like that's flirting.
I think a lot of them say like the nickname of the city.
the Boston one just said
Still
Boston.
City would have been cool.
Steel City would have been great.
Yeah,
That would have been super cool.
yeah.
But how do you fit all of that in with text?
Don't worry, Burke. They're going to change them again in a year or two, so you have to buy a new jersey.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
that is for sure.
What font would you use for Steel City?
I mean, Steel City's 9 characters with the space. Boston is 6 characters, 7.
I would use some sort of like
BOSTOS.
80s heavy
Still City,
metal
you go
text.
2 lines.
Personally,
2 lines is a lot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't the Warriors have a jersey that says like the Bay on it?
Yeah, they have
no, it says the city or something, right?
one that is. You're right. They have an alternative jersey.
I think
it doesn't say the
I think
Bay.
the Detroit Tigers say Motor City on it.
Really?
I think so.
It does say the city.
Oh, it just says the city.
Yeah.
Can you look at the?
I thought you meant
Detroit Tiger
like
one?
it says. Never mind. I took that literally.
No,
Or
you're
not-
right.
not
I
li-
thought
I-
it said the Bay or
Oh, you
Not-
thought it
not
actually
literally.
said.
No. It does say the city. I
Right.
didn't take it literally. I thought he meant it said like
The actual
city
city,
being
the
the
city
Bay Area.
being where they're at, like San Francisco,
which
or
is what is their city?
I don't even know where they play
I said
anymore.
it said the city.
You were right.
I want to point out that I'm the most knowledgeable NBA person in the room right
That
now.
100%.
doesn't take much. Conrad's
No,
not
at
here.
all.
Lakers in 5 or no?
I have no idea.
Did they win yesterday?
I don't know.
Can't answer one question.
How about Golden Knights in 5?
Well, if they didn't win yesterday, they can't win in
Three.
5.
They won.
They did.
No, they didn't play yesterday. They played tonight. They played Sunday. They won, and then they played tonight.
The Lakers?
I think
And we're on
Dallas.
different pages.
Keep
No.
up, bro.
The Lakers played the
He
Timberwolves.
said Golden Knights.
Okay, but the rest of us were talking about the Lakers.
We're
and
talking
they
about
got-
Lakers in 5.
Yeah,
like
they
the-
got mopped by the T-Wolves in game 1.
Yes.
But that was on Saturday.
Did you
Sunday.
guys-
That was on Sunday.
Did you guys see the odds
Which
of
means they
each
played
team
tonight,
winning the
No, that
championship?
was on Saturday.
Which
No,
championship?
which
Jess?
championship?
The NBA championship. Like, did you guys see the odds before the playoffs started?
No.
What is it?
It
What
was
does it
kind
look
of
like?
interesting.
I'm sure the Thunder were
Yeah.
favorites. Yeah.
But the
They're
Lakers,
so young.
the
The Lakers
Lakers
play
had
tonight.
better odds than the Cavs, according to the markets.
The West is just a lot stronger, I think, according to the markets.
The Lakers didn't play yesterday. They played tonight.
Okay.
So it's 1-0 Timberwolves.
Right.
And the
Oh,
Clippers
these
played.
are best of 5 this opening round, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wait,
Lakers in 5 is
are they?
reasonable. I think so.
Is it 5?
I think so.
I'm not
I
sure.
think it was,
I thought it was always 7.
man.
Hockey's
Well, the
always
Cavs
7.
The
for
Cavs
sure.
are better. Than
I'm
the
pretty
Lakers.
sure
My
it's
bad.
always 7.
Well, that's probably updated. The Lakers lost game 1.
They did lose game 1.
All right. It's bad enough that we talk about sports ball, but now we're talking about sports ball that I don't even like.
You don't like basketball?
I
What
don't
would-
care
you
about
know,
basketball.
what the audience expects us for the last week.
Right, but it's like I imagine
really derail.
I imagine it's really hard to listen to when we're talking about sports that we actually follow.
right.
But like
That's,
I don't even know the 8 teams in the playoffs.
Right.
So like can't imagine I can add to this conversation very
Who's your
much.
favorite rugby team?
Oh.
Obviously Manchester.
All Blacks,
Sure.
baby.
Sure. Is that a thing?
Yeah, New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
New Zealand.
They're
Good
strong.
choice.
I was going to
Very
say
strong.
somewhere in Australia or down under, somewhere down there.
A lot of teams make the playoffs, right? There's 8. Each side has 8 seeds. So 16 teams make the playoffs.
Plus the play-in.
Well, I'm saying the playing game is for the 8th seed.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying
Plus
plus the
plus
play-in.
the play-in.
It's like, wow.
What's the point of it?
I mean,
Why do they even play?
This is like, do you guys remember the PartyPoker Premier League?
Vaguely, yeah.
It was like, I think it was like 16 players, and they would play like a bunch of sit and goes, and you'd accrue points, and then they would have like the top 6 players from the sit and goes get to make the final table, and then they would have 2 heads up plans as well.
Mm.
So it was like
Yeah.
you're playing like weeks of sit and goes to figure out like which half of the field gets to make the final table. It was a really cool format, but maybe get a few more players so that like the final table is not 50% of the field.
Doesn't sound that cool. I mean, I get it. It's cool for TV because it gives the viewers something to sweat. You know what I mean? Like the points accumulation and winning the sit and go doesn't matter as much now as the places that everybody's finishing. But I think from a player perspective, really dumb.
Well, I think they were trying. I imagine they were trying to make it like a less variance MTT, but the problem is you're just playing like some turbo sit and goes essentially, and there's just still a ton of variance.
MTTs are also very difficult to just like broadcast. So it's like I remember the Premier League was all televised, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's a good format for TV. You're only dealing with one table at a time. You're able to highlight this small pool of players that were, I believe it was all invite only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting like the cream of the crop, the people that you want to be on TV. It's kind of like a hybrid poker after dark type of event. And I imagine that they were either free rolling or it didn't cost them very much to get in.
What a clip
so
that
you could
was.
just act like a clown.
Wait, why do you say that?
Because it was a made for TV event. Usually invitationals are free rolls.
Oh, I got invited the last year they did it, and it was 125K buy-in.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the buy-in normally, and also
That's insane.
they called me like 16 hours before it was going to begin, and it was in, I want to say like Montreal. And
So you would
I
have
was
to like fly.
yeah, I'd have to fly, I'd have to wire money, I'd have to like figure out.
A
And
lot
I
of
was just like,
moving parts.
Of all
I
the
really wanted to
places,
play
though.
it badly, and I was like, you guys really couldn't have given me like 48 hours to figure this
Right.
out.
I mean, to be fair, of all the places, Montreal would be like one of the easiest to take care of all that.
Is it?
Outside,
I don't
outside
have a ton
of the States.
experience with
Well, I mean,
that.
like outside of the States,
yeah.
you know, Canada's pretty easy to get in and out of. And
Oh, yeah. Well, money, I have no idea about the money part. Like anytime I played in Montreal, I just find a swap with somebody because I'm playing like a 5K or something.
Canada's
It's not
basically the
125.
51st state, you know.
yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
I'm excited to go there
Oh,
yeah,
will
When
be
are you
there
going there?
tomorrow?
tomorrow.
For
Scoop.
Scoops
Can
going
you,
on.
can you believe these guys?
It's like they don't even know it's
Grinder.
the last week of the podcast. They don't
Oh,
care.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Conrad
that's
gone. Landon gone.
that's abhorrent.
Guapo just told me he's not going to be here Friday.
Of course. Like,
You gotta switch. Bro.
imagine what that Scoop schedule looks like on Thursday and Friday. That you got to be in Vancouver. We played the hot 55.
Yeah, I was about to say, you don't understand. Landon's going to win the 55 low.
Right.
Did you
and
consider
be
staying
free-rolling for the trip.
for the end of the podcast?
Never
Or
crossed.
not?
Never
Did you
crossed
never
his
even
mind.
think
I
about?
thought that the podcast was ending before I left.
Did you ask anybody and confirm before you
I thought the podcast ends when I don't
decided
show
to make
up.
plans?
I just thought it was over last week.
What would give you that impression?
My interpretation of when I thought that the rent was gone.
Berkey's
Your
loving
poker face
Yours.
sucks, man.
Additionally, he wasn't here last week either.
No, that's okay.
I was in Florida. And I
No,
was sick.
that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was
He was
3
busy
weeks ago,
making
maybe.
you money, Berkey.
He was
I
in Florida,
did.
then he was
That's what he
sick,
was
and then he's
doing.
gonna be in Vancouver.
I got third in the 20. It's never enough for him, Jesse. He tells me, Landon, you know what? I need you to do your job more. And I say, you know what? I can do that. And I do it, and I still get yelled at. There is no winning in this place. It's all getting burned
From now
down.
on, buddy, I'm going to be your PR agent, but only when you interact with Berkey.
Okay, this is another one of those gaslighting situations. At no point in all
Get
of the many
gaslit.
years of me investing in Landon have I ever been like, hey, bro, you know what I need you to do? I need you to put in a lot more volume at these single-digit ROI events.
Yeah.
Like,
No, but just in general. You told me
Okay,
to do my job more.
But the way
True
you're-
or false?
The way you're choosing to do your job is playing single-digit ROI events. I'm going to fly to Vancouver and play the Hot 55 where
Did-
my ROI is 6%.
Did
Like,
I win or
let me
did
get
I
half
not?
of that.
Did I win or did I not?
When you said single-digit ROI event, I assumed you were talking about the 25K.
I
and
was.
It turns out you were talking about the 55 on Poker
Well,
Star.
because that's way worse, in my opinion. It's just like so much more extreme. It's like, I'm going to go play a 15K guarantee. It's like, fucking play on WSOP.com. You're going to get the same schedule.
I would like to point out that our man Landon may have a double-digit ROI in that 25K. He made an above-the-rim fold with pocket queens,
I did.
which has been later on verified to be
Correct.
I believe,
Really good.
correct,
But
right?
he would have won. I mean,
I got
He would've won,
aces,
or-
man. I waited for aces. I did what the Nits do.
right.
We're results
And I
oriented on this
lost.
podcast.
Right.
What does
yeah.
that have to tell you?
Well,
Aces is not a good hand.
yeah, you should have folded.
It's
I've
just
had-
a pair, man.
You should have had
It's just a
kings,
pair.
bro.
He went all in. You should have been a little afraid,
Yeah.
you know?
I've had bad results with aces in big spots.
Yeah.
That's okay.
According to my little
Well,
chart.
not all bad. You beat Lonus with aces at the WPT final table.
That's true. That was a big hold. He did flop a pair.
Yeah.
Or turn a pair or something. That was a sweat.
You had him in a little worse shape, though. You know?
He had king queen O, yeah.
Yeah. He was in a little worse shape than the pocket fives.
Yeah. If someone has a pocket pair against me, like queens or fives, they ravage me. But if they have king queen off, no chance. Man, I
we win
remember
the 10 to 1 spot.
I
It's a shocker.
remember like my family being so happy when they saw that I had aces pre, and like they have no idea that this loses like, I don't know, 10% of the time or whatever. And Brewer is right next to them, like, oh, they're gonna learn today.
I was
They're gonna learn today.
Brewer's just right next to him.
Yeah, Griffin's
It's
like
in my
dancing.
experience, this hand loses 75% of the time.
I was very sure when the king or queen, whatever it was, came on the turn, that was it for us.
Yeah,
I'm
good
like,
night.
wow, this was a good ride.
Yeah.
He got third. Jesse got third, right?
Third or fourth. Yeah, I think third.
I think he got third
think
because
third.
Alex Queen might have got fourth. So yeah, I mean it was three-handed as well. So not getting fourth would have been good too. So yeah, that's what happens when I go to Florida and do my job.
That's true.
Put him in Florida.
Speaking of 25Ks, if this show wasn't ending, it would have been cool if you got Shannon on here.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
Still got 2 more days.
We do still. Oh, he's got to be somewhere, right?
There you go.
He's rich now.
He might be. I mean, he's got kids, man.
That's
Do you
true.
think
I think he
Poker
plays
Go
more in
actually gave
Vegas.
him his trophy?
I don't know. They never
Where's
gave
the
me.
belt?
I'll tell you what. They never
You're
gave me
still
my
waiting for your
goddamn
belt,
belt.
right? Yeah.
That's for sure. Brent's like,
supply
oh.
chain issues.
Brent goes, oh, now there's big tariffs on China. We can't get the belt. And I was like, there were no goddamn tariffs in January when I won the fucking thing.
Trump wasn't even president yet.
Wait a minute. So the belt that they have is like not the same one?
It's just the show belt.
Yeah, but wouldn't your belt be the same material as the show belt?
To be determined. I'll never know. This is
Therefore-
another scenario where I win a goddamn trophy and I don't fucking get it. I won one high roller ever. One. They gave out a trophy for every fucking 25K Aria high
Except that
roller
one?
in the history. But because we chopped it at 4:45 in the morning, nobody thought to give me the goddamn trophy. And now it's gone.
Who got it?
No one.
Oh,
Wow.
Who'd you chop
somebody
it with?
has it.
Ike.
Jake the Snake and Ike.
Oh, Jake's got that trophy.
For sure.
How did they agree to chop with you?
I had 3-1 chip lead. How did I agree to chop with them? I
Chopped even.
was sleepy.
I'm EP. Yeah.
Ike had like 8 blinds and he was just all in. I'm just like, and the funny part is like this is like 2015, so it was December 2015.
They gave you even, like just stone chips?
No. We did ICM chop.
Right. So you got your stack value. You didn't get extra than that.
No, yeah, nobody was.
Wow.
Nobody was
They really fleeced
it
you.
was 20. Wait, why did they fleece me?
Because your stack is worth more than what ICM has to
Not
say.
the way we were fucking playing, buddy.
This was 2015. Did you not hear?
yeah, it was.
People knew to jam big stack in 2015. Berkey knew to jam the big stack. in
Yeah, I was
2015.
all in every time I had the opportunity.
Yeah, so his stack is worth more than the ICM value.
No,
I tend to agree with Landon.
I mean maybe I wasn't.
But you have to factor that against you're also 3-handed with 2 of the best tournament players.
and
of
I can
all time.
assure you, I was not playing anywhere close to perfectly. Like I wasn't.
Sounds like a
looking,
skill issue.
I wasn't looking at like King
Well,
5.
it was, in your defense, it was 2015.
Right. I'm saying I wasn't like looking at King 5 off on the button and jamming it. Like
That
I was
belt
probably opening a lot.
Is
But
obnoxiously big.
yeah. I don't think that's the one I'll
Holy
get.
shit.
I think you should get that one
That
now.
was a real wrestling.
Hold
belt.
up. They
sure.
gave
You
you,
look
a
like John
belt
Cena there.
for the picture,
Yeah.
but
It's
then
the
they didn't actually give you the
it's
belt.
the staged belt. All I wanted was a belt on this fucking set before I tear it down.
It's like when we got the
feel it.
GPI. It took 80 years to get the
It took
trophy.
over a year for us to get the GPI trophy, and
Yeah,
then
it
they
was-
didn't even
That
put us on
belt
the
is
finals.
at the studio.
Yeah,
Well, let's break in and get it.
I'm saying I'll hold it until you. I'll tell you what.
It's not technically stealing,
Yeah,
right?
give me that belt.
It's
I'll hold
collateral.
it. I will hold that belt
Right.
until you replace it with
until,
my replica
until
belt.
tariffs are over.
Right.
Until the tariffs end.
Right. 2028.
It's very reasonable. But
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I remember it was 2015, and you know the tournament was fast. I might have had like 40 bigs as the chip leader. Ike had like probably sub 10, and Jake was 10 to 15ish. And it was like when mixing first really became a thing, but like I was only aware of it. I wasn't doing it, and I just remember I was so annoyed because it was taking so long and it was so late at night that every time Ike would look at his hand, he would look at the clock and then go back to his hand and act. And almost always it was all in. I'm just like, what are you randomizing?
Are you sure he's not just trying to tank to make the level go down?
I wasn't sure of anything. It was 2015. This is literally 10 fucking years.
I get it.
I think you are.
I get it. I was like 8.
No. But like, I think you
Might have been.
Now I was 15.
I think you and the youth in this community don't understand how fucking much has changed in 10 years.
Right.
That's valid.
When it's like, oh, are you sure he wasn't like trying to get the button when the level went up? It's like, buddy, it was 2015. Like, I was still playing as fast as possible. I threw my time bank chip out to get a read on Sean Winter, and it worked.
In Ike's defense, he might have been one of the first people to do all
Sure,
that
of
stuff,
course.
so.
I'm sure he was way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
But the point is it wasn't like common knowledge the way
Right,
it is
of
now.
course.
Nobody's leaving a fucking chip behind.
Right.
Like this a lot has moved in 10 years of MTT.
Yeah,
they
nobody
were beatable in 2015. I was still playing them. Trust me, I
wonder
know.
who the first person was to leave the chip behind. There had to have been a first.
Yeah.
Where they were.
Well,
it
probably
was
happened
strategic.
online.
It was probably Team Ike or Bonomo.
I
one
mean,
of those guys.
some smart
They're
person
pretty.
that realized if you go all in minus a chip, if you get called, you could still
Right.
be in.
Well, one.
It's just amazing how long it took for like people to realize that.
I think it was like early, like 2011 or even earlier, where people were leaving one chip behind in bounties. Because if you were covered, you wanted your bluffs to not
work.
Yeah.
What a cuck move that is.
It is.
Man, like if you're the person who's like against that, you just want to jump across the fucking table, right? Because like you
Wait,
have the
what do you mean against that?
Well, you're facing all in minus a blind,
So you
right?
can't win the bounty if
and you
jam.
can't win the bounty.
If they're bluffing. Well,
Yeah, you can't win if they're bluffing.
unless you
Right.
core them like somehow.
Right. So it's like, okay, whatever your calling range is, you're just all in, obviously, right?
Right.
And then the guy fucking mucks, and you just know that some asshole on the button the next hand is gonna get to call his 1.5 big blind shove and steal your fucking bounty.
Yeah, but it was never your bounty to begin
It
with.
was your bounty, Jesse. If you take the chip behind rule away, he's still fucking jamming.
What's the chip behind?
Like if you didn't allow them to, like say you created
we've
a
talked
threshold.
about this, right?
Yeah,
Like
say
having a rule where there's but that's.
I mean, it would never work because everyone would just go to the threshold. Right?
yeah, but if you make the
threshold,
if you make the threshold like
big
somewhat
enough,
high,
like
you wouldn't
10%
do
or
it in
something.
big blinds.
Yeah, but then if
you have to do it as
if you get
percentage of
high
stack.
enough, then it's going to like change how poker's played fundamentally,
Who
which
cares?
is kind of silly too.
Why is it silly? We talked about this yesterday. Like if collusion's out in the open, then it just becomes another strategic element, right? Obviously, that's a bad example because it's aligned with cheating. But no matter what wrinkle you add to the game, it's just a new format.
Yeah, but I don't know why that would be a better format than just not like just allowing people to leave one blind back or one chip back.
Well, in general, I'm not making the case that it would be better. I think it would be better for bounty, though.
I don't know.
But you can make
there's
the
some
same
cool
counter.
stuff.
I mean, you can
from
make the same
an
counter
entertainment
argument.
standpoint. There's some. Did you see that Pad's hand last W Coop, where this is like the funniest hand ever. I don't know I think it was in a bounty, but I could be wrong. Basically, like he just rivered like nut low, and his opponent bet all but one chip, and he had seen the guy go all in before, and so he was like, "All right, I think this guy's bluffing," and just like crammed it in.
Oh
and
yeah,
the guy folded.
Oh my god,
And it was
that's
like
amazing.
such a sweet. It was a sweet hand.
Yeah,
it was a really sweet hand.
Yeah, I agree. Like you can make the same counter argument. Like if the original rule was you had a threshold, then there'd be a very strong argument for like, well, let's just get rid of the threshold. Like it just changes the strategy and all that becomes fun.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I think that when you're talking about like the difference between then and now, like this high roller story really reminds me of just like how far we've come, because I knew I was out of my depths in those things, but I think I played 3 of them. And then I went on to play the Super High Roller Bowl twice after that.
But you're winning in all of them.
Yeah, I knew I was out of my depths, but I also knew that there was like more than enough dead money to make up for like whatever I'm losing to the Ikes of the world.
They were so good back then.
I've only
The 2016 Super High Roller Bowl was maybe the softest high. I'm probably exaggerating because I'm sure that the original $1 million one drop was equally as soft. But that 2016 Super High Roller Bowl 300K, followed by the 100K not little one for one drop, but the WSOP one drop, were 2 of the softest high rollers that I imagine have existed in like the last 15 years. It was just like 60+% of the field was recreational.
Crazy.
As we define it, right? Or shit regs.
Like not actively trying really hard.
The 100K, the 100K, I played it. Man, I fucking YOLO'd that. I took 90% of myself.
No.
Which 100K?
It was the WSOP one right after.
The smaller one drop.
You were just feeling yourself
Did-
after that 300K.
Didn't you like satellite in or something?
No, I got 4th in the, or 5th in the Super High Roller Bowl for 1.1.
Yep.
And I was on a massive upswing in Ivy's room.
Yep.
And I just said like,
I'm just gonna win this thing.
It was like the first event of the summer too. They didn't put it at the end like they usually do. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna play. I swapped 5% with Osmus, and I sold 10%.
How did he know?
That's the one that Fedor won, right?
Yes.
That final table is a bloodbath, man.
Yeah, Jack Salter made the final table.
Yeah, he did.
All thanks to me. He was at my starting table.
Oh yeah, this hand.
This is insane. My starting table was like
You couldn't breathe.
my starting table was like 4 or 5 pros, but like none of which play high rollers, and like to this day still don't play high rollers. I think there was one actual like legitimate high roller at my table, and I can't even remember who it was. But
Was this why? Like how? 100K is a lot of money.
not back then.
Like where did they come
Salter
from?
had it. The reason why Salter said he played the hand this way is because he had $100 or 100K in his pocket to rebuy. Where the fuck is Jack Salter now?
He's
He
around.
made
He's still
enough.
playing.
I think he made a lot.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot of cash with this brother. Anyway, neither here nor there. But this hand happens where like last level of the night might even be like getting close to hand for hand, and I'm chip leading the table with piles. I have like 100-ish blinds. Jack is like second in chips with like 90. He limps under the gun. It limps 7 ways to me. I make a 15x with ace king suited. He just crams. Call. 6s. Holds. Fuck me.
Wow, that's quite a hand.
Moving right along. I have 10 blinds left. I get it in with like I think I think Philbort might have been the pro I was saying. I don't know. It was a German or somebody. Anyway, money was very free back then, and tournaments were very beatable.
Salter used to keep it very, very baked too. So I imagine when you turned over ace king and he just fades with his 6s, he probably had this reaction that was something like, "Oh, that was lucky, mate."
No,
and like
he,
a little giggle.
He literally just said like I was gonna rebuy, like have another 100K in my pocket. It's like, buddy, you have 3 starting stacks. Let's just bag, you know? Let me lose my flip on the fucking bubble like a man.
An animal.
So salty. Then I learned my lesson. I was like, oh, these things, they're variants.
Yep.
$100,000
You
is a
work
lot of
so
money.
hard, got all these stacks just to lose one all in. What's it all for?
Yeah.
Well, Fedor got him in the end.
Yeah, he
along
did.
with everyone else at that final table. That was an outrageous.
He had a hell of that was the year of Fedor, so to speak.
Wow.
Got second in the Super High Roller Bowl to why can't I think of his name?
Reiner,
yeah. Who he had a huge piece of.
Yeah.
Was like the most powerful software or whatever when it came to MTTs, like ICMizer back then?
PO was around, wasn't it? No,
Well,
we used ICMizer to practice for the
I
final
just mean
table.
it was just like a lot of like push fold.
It was all push fold, yeah.
There wasn't a lot of like pre-flop situations that were like
No.
3 bets. You just kind of had to guess.
Bro, yeah.
That's cool.
I felt semi-prepared, and then I got dealt ace queen in the cutoff, and I was just like lost. Because the way that I thought,
great.
Yeah, it worked out well. But the way I thought about tournaments back then, where the majority of your profitable spots were going to come from like as you got shorter, were going to come from rejams if you're deep enough, or open jams if you're not. And depending on how the chip stacks disperse, that's going to dictate like how many profitable spots you have. And it just so happened that the way the formation of the final table was, I came in, I think I was 5 of how many cashed? 8, 7. So I was like 5 of 8, but I had
you should come back to the bubble.
Yeah. But I had all the short stacks to my right. So to my immediate right was Helmuth, who was like 8 of 8 or 7 of 8. And then I think Helmuth was 8 of 8. Dan Shack was 7 of 8. Seidel was like 6 of 8. And then it was Fedor, Bryn, Reiner, or Fedor, Bryn, Dan, Reiner, all like 1 through 4 in chips. And I was like,
that's to your left.
That's to my left.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I get it. I will never get to open or reshove against one of the weaker players.
Right.
I will only ever be against the top 4 chip stacks for this entire final table.
Not good for you.
So I'm like obviously just folding and folding and folding and folding and folding. And then I finally get ace queen and panic immediately sets in because I internally understood. Well, I internally understood that like one of 2 things had to happen. One, I need to double.
So you guys are still on the bubble at this point.
Yeah.
Got it.
So like one of 2 things needs to happen. Either I fold my way into the money and just limp into cashing, or I need to double. And those are like the only 2 strategic things that can ever happen that are good. And it folds to me in the cutoff, and I have like 21 blinds and ace queen. And I was like, I can't open because like what good can come from it? I'm going to have to call off ace queen somehow, you know?
So you're cut off and you just like pile?
You might get some 4-bet jams in there. I don't know how people played back then, but in this day and age, like
yeah,
I
think
can
the
see
most
some like
Berkey thing you could
5.5
do.
big blind 3
You
bets,
limped?
and you get to cram over them. And
Right.
You limped ace queen?
But in 2016, nobody was 3-betting to 5.5 bigs.
yeah, certainly not from the small blind. Well, Fedor did some. Yeah, probably.
But Fedor wasn't in the blinds in this particular spot. It was Reiner on the button, Bryn in the small, and Dan Smith in the big. And it was 1, 3, 2 in chips. So I was like,
Can you
well,
still go back and watch this?
yeah, it's on Poker Go.
Oh, I got some homework to do.
I just realized that tournament had the Pratt hand that I think inevitably retired him.
Which one was that?
He got it in with Dan Smith. Dan, I think he 3-bet Dan pre and Dan flopped a set. And he called it off. I think I'm remembering this correctly. And
I vaguely remember.
he was
this.
just always very, very hard on himself. And
Yeah.
I think he just never let that hand go.
This is what made him find Jesus.
Yeah. And I remember his friend saying it's actually funny that he quit around then because Pio came out a year or two later, and that would have been his absolute wheelhouse.
Yeah.
He was the spelling bee world champ, right? He's extremely good at studying stuff. And if he had a format like that where he could really test how he played versus something and pretty concretely see if he did good or bad, I think he would have really excelled. But he just had so many questions that were unanswered. He had hands like that where he's that was probably terrible, and all you can do is ask your buddies.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very interesting story.
I think with
Pratt
MTTs
poker.
more than cash, it's so much of a race to the bottom though.
I'm still interested in this ace queen. So
Okay.
you limp ace queen.
So I decide that if I raise, only bad things can happen because I'm either going to face calls and I'm not going to be able to c bet, so I can't redline this hand really.
It's okay. Check raise. Maybe you make a pair.
No, I'm in position. If I face calls, I'm opening the cut.
Well, it's a button.
Well, yeah. Okay, so Reiner could obviously fuck with me, but it's mostly going to be through 3-bets,
Yes.
right? And I didn't really feel good about 4-bet jamming.
Wait, is Reiner the button?
I think you came.
We get to 4-bet jam over him.
Yeah, maybe.
I
Let's
think you
go.
came to the right
Blockers,
conclusion
baby.
that you don't probably want to play the hand, but you probably go do that by jamming.
Yeah,
So you
probably
make-
could have just open jammed.
Right. You just make them wake up with it versus actually
Yeah.
play.
Not in 2015
So
or
you limp.
2016.
That's okay. You limp. Limping is pimping. You
Limp-
said, I'm a limp right now.
I'd gotten to this point through the limp, and I was going to exit this point
I'm living
through
and
the
I'm
limp.
dying by the limp.
I don't think limp is I think if you ran it, limp would be a very viable
Fuck with
option.
me. How are you going to fuck with me? I put in one blind in this pot.
What
What
do
are
you
you
mean?
going to do to me?
Raise the reason you want to limp in the first place is to expand your VPIP, and you're not trying to play hands.
No,
so you don't really
no.
want
It's to increase SPR.
fucking muppet.
I want to be able to play a 3-street hand.
But if they ISO, you're just gonna play limp jam, correct?
Yeah, but that's different because they're ISOing way wider than they're 3-betting.
Right.
Right.
Jam makes more sense than
Again,
limp.
10 years ago.
I get it.
Okay,
I
a
get
lot
it.
has changed.
Wait, you're not in this day and age. You're not jamming or limping.
I think
The
I
spot.
would just raise
You
call.
just said deuce. Yeah.
And if you bubble, you bubble. That's life.
Yeah.
That's fine. You,
Yeah, well, I
you
gotta tell
prepared
you-
for this.
I'm just pointing out that you're advocating for jamming, but you would never actually jam.
I
if
can
this is
see
the
it
spot that you're
being
He would jam before he limped.
reasonable. Yeah, if I had to pick an option, I would jam because it's less likely you get played back with when you're all in yourself.
Yeah, I guess limping's
Limping's
there's a threshold where if your opponent's ISO enough, then limping becomes the best play, and it becomes kind of an equation of how often do you think they're ISOing that much? What is the percent chance that they're ISOing X percent?
Where you get the limp jam through and they fold.
Yeah, because you pick up a lot of chips when you limp jam. If you think about small blind ISO, it's gonna be 4.5 or
Right.
5 bigs or something like that. So kind of nice.
Yeah, it just depends on what they're doing. Anyway, so you limp. Go on. What
I
happens?
wouldn't advocate it for it now, but look, man, cashing this tournament was a big fucking deal.
What happens? I'm
I limp.
invested.
I limp. Reiner folds the button. Bryn completes the small with deuces. Dan Smith looks down at King Queen O, and he makes it 5.5.
You
And
got
I-
it.
is.
and
There
I
it is.
said, "You don't look like a man who has ace queen beat." He used 3 time banks.
Wait a minute. How many bigs did Bryn have?
I think he was third in chips.
And Dan had him covered?
Yeah, but him, Dan, and Reiner all had a lot. They all had over 50.
Gotcha. Okay. This makes
So he
sense.
saved me from the deuces
did.
potentially cracking me, and he used 3 fucking time banks, and then found a fold with the king queen. And in the moment, I
That's a lot for you. That's a big pickup.
By the
Huge.
way, this is the beauty of the limp right here. If you had raised, for sure he's just completing the big blind, right? But
Yeah.
because you limped, he
Well,
just
I don't know,
decided to
maybe-
5x it and then fold to 20x, which just makes you at the absolute most in the hand without even having to.
maybe
let him
maybe
realize
he
equity.
jams on me, given how long he tanked facing jam.
Oh, true.
Like
Well,
if Bryn folds the small,
He wouldn't fold small,
probably not.
I don't know.
Bryn would probably just peel the deuces, try to make a set,
Yeah.
and then Dan would probably just call.
Yeah, Dan bubbled that tournament in maybe the grossest fashion I've ever seen.
Wait, Dan bubbled that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Reiner opened button. He defended big with sixes, I believe, and it came 8-7-6, two-tone, and they just get it all in. Reiner has eights.
Wow.
Just dead. Dan had him covered at that point. Dan actually might have been chip leading because Dan had 6 or 7 blinds left, and he lasted like another 2 orbits. It was the most painful fucking 2 orbits of my life.
So for the coverage, did they do every hand?
yeah.
So like there's day 1, day 2, day 3? Is that how many days there were?
Yeah, but day 1, day 2 obviously isn't every hand. It's just
Right.
the feature table.
Bro, they had a break desk during breaks.
Jesse was on it.
Guess who was there?
You. I wouldn't have guessed.
The,
but
co- the
okay.
coverage back then was sick.
Have you never seen Dead Money?
I think
coverage
I
is
have
really good.
seen Dead Money, but I haven't seen
When you're
the
up
tournament.
in Vancouver and playing online,
Yeah.
pull it up, maybe play it in the
while playing the
background.
Big 55.
You're going to
bro.
Vancouver?
Yeah.
Nice. It's a great city.
I don't know if he's being serious.
He is. That's why it's so fucking funny.
He just said he was going to Canada.
Maybe he
Oh,
did.
okay,
Maybe
okay,
he did.
okay.
Yeah.
In fact,
Fine.
I was
That's
talking
fair.
about
That's
Montreal,
fair.
and he said I'm going there.
I said I'm going to Canada, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Vancouver.
I thought you went. I thought you were going to Montreal.
No.
I mean, Montreal's great too. I'm not. Montreal's an awesome city, but Vancouver's like the one city.
I heard Vancouver's like amazing.
It'll be year
Vancouver's
3.
the only city in the world I've been to that's cold, like a nice chunk of the year that I would consider living in.
Really?
I hate being cold, and Vancouver's
Yeah.
such a cool city.
It'll be year 3. Yep.
Year 3. Who are you going up with?
Patrick.
All right.
Yeah.
What a team.
I know.
They're gonna watch Dead Money on repeat
Yeah. we're gonna-
the whole time.
Dead Money and Power Jams and Limping Ace Queen and saying, what can we learn from
Oh
this?
man.
You got him. That was good for you. This was a good result.
It was a very good result. I was so stressed, man. I was not built for bubbles. I chip led like coast to coast.
Man,
I think
Until-
Pigtails was just as stressed as you. Because
I'm sure
it's just
the,
like
the movie hinged on it.
on you cashing. I know.
Yeah.
if you don't cash, there's no content.
I bagged like chip lead or second in chips day 1. I was chip leader bagging day 2. I came into, it was a 4-day event back then. Day 3, I just like melted. I just could not fucking win to save my life.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming into the final table, I think like 6 of 8 or 5 of 8, something like
So
that.
you started filming before the tournament began?
Way before.
Months.
Yeah,
months
like the
before.
lead
It
up
was like
to it, all the
And he
prepping.
needed
and-
you to do well in the tournament
I
pretty
mean, it was
badly.
It was pretty important.
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
This
when
is
you
like
make-
the Kanye documentary.
Yeah.
It's just like
When you
If
called
you
your
just
shot.
busted day 1, we wouldn't have been much of a movie.
you make
Yeah.
content on a tournament, you probably want them to like cash the tournament.
Yeah.
It's not really
Yeah.
great if
You
they
did-
don't.
you
Yeah,
did
but that's a
Yeah.
tough
I know, big ass.
tough spot to put
I
yourself
think
in.
you did
in
the
first
second
place.
best thing you could do. Like third best thing would be cashing. Second best would be cashing for over $1 million,
Right.
and then winning
Winning
it,
it, yeah.
obviously.
Landon, imagine ESPN did a documentary about you playing poker and like, we're going to need you to final table the main event.
Yeah,
We're going to need that, buddy.
I busted
lock in.
limp jamming
Oh, here we go.
ace 9 suited blind versus
For how much?
Reiner, I think for 20. So I had ace 9 suited, I limp small, he ISOs and I jam.
And there's
And
5
I
left.
just remember O'Brien being like, why didn't you open jam, man? Like
No.
why are you limp jamming? Like he was so miffed at the play.
What did Reiner have?
7s.
Sure.
He flopped the set, I turned a flush
I'm
draw.
sure he did.
I turned a straight flush draw, I think.
You did.
It was chip
You
leader,
did. We
right?
were like, oh,
And
it's
I bricked.
coming.
Yeah.
And there were like a bunch of, you were like handcuffed by some other similar stack
Ace 9
sizes,
suited, good
presumably, or
hand to
whatever.
limp.
Yeah.
You played good poker, man.
Me and Phil both were like, near the bottom at that point.
Yeah, I
played
mean, you're
good
going to get
poker.
ISO'd so wide and just pick up like 2.5.
That was what I
extra
said.
blinds or
I
whatever.
was like, well, the orbit before I limped with like queen 7 suited or something like that.
That's
and he
good.
just put me in.
Sure.
So I was like, why wouldn't I, obviously ace 9, like let's fucking go. Maybe I had ace 8, something like that. But
Sure. Suited ace, good limp. Offsuit ace, good jam.
it was the only flip of the tournament that I really was sure I was going to win. So of course I didn't.
Man. Wow, I got homework to do. This is
There were a
exciting.
lot of, man, that was the most stressed I've ever been over a 4-day period. Like,
Yeah, makes sense.
But man, the romance of tournaments back then were so different. I can't explain to you how much has changed in 10 years.
Right.
Like every
just
hand,
strategy and emotions.
bro,
for you?
everybody was just feeling it out in real time, and like everybody was employing their own unique strategy. And
Yeah.
like I remember we were studying the structure, and I had like specific strategies carved out for
Big small blind level.
Yeah, the huge small blind level when it was like 1K 1500 with like I think it was a 1K ante from everybody.
What?
Yeah. This was pre big blind ante.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
Yeah.
I think we were playing 8-handed.
So you're playing with
So
like
it's like an 8K ante.
you're playing 1K 1500 with 8K in the middle. So
No,
it's like
that
Oh,
can't-
sorry.
that can't be.
500 ante. No. It had to be, yeah, 500 ante.
that,
because
okay.
1/3 of the big blind.
Yeah. Because that's
They
the
didn't
smallest
have,
chip on the
they didn't
table.
have tiny
Oh,
chips,
maybe,
huh?
maybe.
Yeah.
There was a weird level. Like
Yeah, there were a couple
weird
levels.
Yeah.
And like we'd looked ahead. I was a
Ahead of your
little
time.
sharper than I'm giving myself credit for. We looked ahead, and I petitioned to Carey prior to the tournament to change the structure, and he refused. But if you go back, I don't remember if we displayed it in Dead Money or not, but if you go back and look at the 2016 Super High Roller Bowl structure, there's a point where the bubble was going to be met that the structure was like very, very, very off in some capacity. I can't remember if I think the ante went from like huge to like
Really small.
extremely small
Yeah.
for a window of time. Oh, no, I know what it was. They didn't balance at 9 to one table.
That's right.
So it was 5 and 4.
That's what it was. We were playing massive ante with a 4-handed table.
Didn't Jason Mercier get screwed somehow? Right?
Terribly.
Yeah.
So obviously, I brought this up like a month ahead of time. Nobody would listen to me. I brought it up again before day one. Nobody would listen to me. We get to the bubble, and now we're 4-handed and 5-handed, and they're not balancing nor going hand for hand because we're not technically on the stone bubble yet. And Mercier is just losing his
Right.
fucking mind
Rightfully so.
at this. So finally, like we start going hand for hand, and then they started like swapping out the big blind for the small blind to make sure that there was like some fairness. But it was a whole ordeal, and the bubble lasted forever. And that wasn't even like that's the soft bubble.
Right. That was just to get to the final table.
That was just to get to the
bubble.
final table where there is the bubble. Mercier ended up running kings into Bryn's aces, which was
Yeah.
Sure.
4-handed.
Yeah.
Just fucking unbelievable. But yeah, it was a lot more romantic because all the hands kind of like had meaning behind them, right? There was like a story behind them because there wasn't a clear-cut strategy to follow. There wasn't a clear-cut chart to follow. You know what I mean? Like it was just like you kind of feel your way through it. There was a huge spot on day 2 where I had Marchese and Tony Gregg to my left. And
That's a lineup.
and I had Robo to my direct right. And when I was under the gun, Robo was in the big blind. I can't remember what the meta was behind it, but like I think I had opened a couple orbits from that spot. Oh, the other thing was we were like top 3 in chips. It was me, Marchese, Tony Gregg, Bryn, somebody, Robo. And the 4 of us are all like top 5 in chips. So I had been like opening under the gun, and if I ever got through Murderer's Row, Robo 3-bet me. So I just stopped. I just stopped opening, and I pick up 2 queens, and I limp under the gun.
Yes, the limp is back.
Marchese snap ISOs me. Tony Gregg snap 3-bets him, and I limp jam for like 60 with queens.
Yeah.
Marchese, I don't think had it. I think he actually had it something like Ace Jack or something like that, but folds. And then Tony just like very quickly calls it off with 10s.
Oh, yeah, 10. That's right. Yeah.
And I was just like, this is where I die.
Yep.
And you didn't.
I
No,
didn't.
you didn't.
He had like 4 blinds left. We just, at that point, it was like,
You
okay.
got him.
Yeah, at that point, I was like a very clear chip leader. And then I fucked Marchese later, where he 3-bet me with 7-6 suited, I think. And I flatted with Ace King. Got him to rifle it all off.
I mean, positions wise, probably reasonable.
It was like under the gun 1.
When you
I
say
think- might
when
be.
you say you fucked him, I thought you were gonna bad beat him or cooler
Right.
him, and it just turns out you like trapped him.
It's like played like a
that's like the
reasonable hand of
opposite of
poker.
fucking
Yeah,
him.
kind of. Yeah. No, you're right. Well, I mean, I didn't 4-bet him, which I easily could have, but we were both super deep.
Yeah, you got
Probably
him
just
real
like
good.
a flat by
Yeah.
flatting like a reasonable hand and playing good poker.
Yeah, he flopped
Crazy.
like I think he flopped an open ender on like 10-4-5 or something like that, and I float out of position.
Good poker.
Peel a king,
Good poker.
and then he just rifles it off.
Oh, the king's such a nice one to rifle
Yeah.
it off on. Holy
That's
shit.
why you flat ace king. So when a king or an ace comes, you got him.
Yeah.
especially the king.
It's
Oh my
really funny
God,
too
the king.
for like the sake of the documentary. Like we got so much good stuff out of it based off of like the interviews that we did and then what actually happened in real life. So there's this segment in Dead Money where they're like interviewing Marchese and Rast and a few others that had played Ivy's Room with me. And there's this like point where they like do quick cuts from both of them. And, you know, Rast like pauses and he goes, being honest, a lot of people don't think he's very good. And then it cuts to like Marchese, and Marchese's just like, yeah, I mean, like, you know, we all just think we can get him because he just likes to put way too much money into the pot. And at some point he's just going to do that with a hand that can't win kind of thing. And then like fast forward to, we interview Marchese again post the 7-6 hand or whatever, and he's just like, I mean, I had a bluff, I had no choice but to go for it kind of thing. And it's just like when you juxtapose those things together, where it's
Like putting in too many chips and then like thinking you're the wild aggro.
Well, more importantly, it's like I'm a guy who puts in too many chips, and now we're in a position where like we're rifling it off,
Right.
because somehow you're hoping the guy who puts in too many chips folds,
Right.
type of thing. It was just like nothing. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just from this.
It just looks that like optically
from the storyline aspect of it.
Like he's putting in too much chips, and you're 3-betting 7-6 and going to town. Like isn't that his job? And you just had the ace king in that spot.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow,
having it's nice.
I'm excited. I have something to look forward to when I go home.
I miss
Watch Dead Money. Watch the coverage.
I miss tournament poker being that way. I used to have an entire like Google Drive full of my thoughts and strategies. Like LeMan and I would just like brainstorm every summer.
They had a
before.
big cash game around that time too, right?
Yeah,
It was after or before.
after it was the one that Seaver.
You like had King 4 and like 5-bet Ike or something.
No. That was years after. That was like
Gotcha.
2018 maybe.
Oh, so I see.
King 5. Yeah.
King 5.
People hate on that hand so much too.
You're cooking.
Well,
You had a
it was
read.
based off of Tosic. Like I knew Tosic was way out of line, and I knew Ike knew that Tosic was way out of line.
You played the man.
Yeah, it was just like whatever, man. Like you're fucking 4-betting me light. Like he had 10-9 suited. It's not like he was out in the fucking chart land.
What tournament is this in?
No. It was a
Cash
super
game.
high roller bowl
It
cash
was the
game.
tournament called Cash Game.
Right.
It was the tournament.
It was,
And then Brent's commentary just makes it.
it was so good. It was the lineup was me, Ike, Garrett,
Ryan
Roble.
T.
Well,
Roble was
Tosic
there.
took somebody's seat, but I don't remember who. I think the seat that he took was a fish, and I think that there was one other recreational in there. But it was a reg heavy lineup. Looking back on it, I'm really surprised.
It went off.
Like, yeah, I'm surprised Garrett and I played. Oh, I'm not surprised I played it. I have a big ego, but I'm surprised Garrett played it. Like, he usually doesn't sit those types of games. But I mashed. I was up like 250 or something like that, and then I gave it all to
Yay.
kid who got second in the main versus Espen.
I like those people.
Attenborough?
Attenborough, yeah.
Oh, he was in there?
Adrian.
Yeah. Well, he came in last. He came in for like an hour and won like 200.
Well, he wanted off.
Very
you.
nice.
Yeah.
You want to hear
Good
a funny
hour.
Ryan story? Tosic story?
Worse. Too sick for those in the know.
He's great. I love Ryan. Everyone has like moments of poker clairvoyance where we just play like we're on a different planet, I feel like, and we wonder how we can get back there for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Tosic, the second time Tosic final tabled 5 diamond, I was sweating it very closely because Mikey D was there. And when they got to 7-handed, so like it's like the bubble, right? For like the TV final table. This was when Sean Perry was on his come up. Like he had just turned 21. He's mashing this tournament. He's like this brash kid. And they get to 7-handed and Perry loses a big pot, and he just, Mike had told me, he was like, this kid has lost a big pot and then torched like his whole stack within like the next 2 hands, like 3 times now, but he keeps getting there. And he ends up running like a triple barrel bluff where he like 3-bets pre and bluffs it off. And Tosic folds like a really good hand against him, which is really weird, thinking he had like made trips, like trip 8s or something. And he just like tables the bluff, right? And we were like, damn, that was brutal. They bag for the night, and Tosic just comes over to us And he's like, I am going to fuck this kid tomorrow. That's what he said to us. He was like, I've got to read. He goes, I've got to read on him. And like, if anyone gets a chance, go watch the final table. But Tosic just, when they get four-handed, Tosic, it's like he's not even looking at his cards. He's just staring directly at Sean Perry and making decisions. And he makes some wild, like he makes like a ridiculously light call down where like Perry 3-bets big blind and like triples, and he just calls like fourth pair. And then he like does something else. And then at some point it goes like raise, and like Perry like jams, and he just calls off like some kind of weak ass hand, like ace 9 off or something, and he's just right. Or I think he calls off like pocket threes, and Perry has like ace 9 off. Anyways,
Perry got third, right?
He did exactly what he said he was going to do, and then he wins the tournament. And
Playing
it was just,
the game.
He was playing the game, dude. I'm not sure if I've ever seen anyone play the game on that level at this point. In like, you know, back in the day, people played the game.
Yeah.
And Ivy played the game, and he got everyone. But like, this was something very special.
I think it really does create a big divide between the audience as well as like the older guard, as far as acknowledging quote unquote talent in today's game, because it's so different, right? Like that type of shit is what allowed people to stay. It really was just like wits and wagers and the ability to kind of like, you know, cut through all the bullshit, be able to see right into the heart and soul of somebody and just be one step ahead of their own thought process. That really went away in the last 10 years, I would say, especially in MTTs, like with the evolution of things. And now when I say it's a race to the bottom, it's because proper strategy for basically everybody is to just like, you know, fold and let stacks converge upon each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where it's not about being the early chip leader and just like leveraging that. And, you know, and don't get me wrong, a lot of that was like born out of hubris and a million other things. And also we were just ignorant. We didn't know any better. But the product was so much better.
Ignorance is bliss.
And I'm sure that there are people in today's game that would disagree with that. Like there's a fine art in watching these high rollers.
Yeah, but only
battle.
for a very small percentage of the audience, right? Like the grander scale of the people who are just the novice, the people that just want to turn on the TV and watch some poker. They want to see some fuck shit. They don't want to see like perfect strategery.
But to that end, the genie's out of the bottle too. So like we're all too aware of what good poker looks like now, and if everybody has some exposure to like
not the just the very casual watcher.
I mean, you're right. That's why HCL still does big numbers for people just throwing shit at one another. But when you start to get into like more, you know, things that have a higher level of, I guess like pride attached to it, like the World Series main event. I don't think very many people were like watching Adam Walton play and just be like, oh my God, he's the sickest. You know what I mean? It was more so just like, this guy's insane. And you tip your cap to that.
Yeah.
But not many people in the audience are just like, man, I want to be able to play with that level of disregard for all other risks.
But he's such an outlier where like back then there was a lot of people that were doing that, and the commentary supported it as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Man, it's weird because like there's definitely answers, but it doesn't mean you should take them. I mean, obviously at higher stakes, there's less room for that kind of stuff. But at the same time,
well, it's just more so we have a higher degree of certainty of like
what's good and what's not.
Bad. Right. Not even what's good. Just like we have a higher degree of certainty of what's bad.
That's true.
What's negative EV?
Yeah, and that's the thing. So
what
it's like
looks kind of insane. Like if you see like an ace queen limp in the bubble spot, like what the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
like that shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't be able to.
I think we ran it afterwards, and my play was losing like $200K.
How can it lose that much? Limping can't lose that much.
No way.
Maybe it's like the difference between.
I had a pretty strong hold on fifth place chips at that point.
But like, how do you run the spot? What did you use?
I don't remember. We used ICM Miser.
Right.
Dude,
so it's like
Gazelle ran it for me.
Fold or something. Man,
at the World Series
this
final
is a psyop. This is a psyop. It can't lose.
Yeah, at the World Series final table, I mucked the big blind versus a limp 3-handed, and I think I lost like 30K or 40K in equity. Like you can only lose the big blind you put in maximum, and you're not even losing that because like you have equity.
Yeah, but like I could bust.
He limp jammed. He jammed.
But that's fine. That doesn't lose.
But that doesn't mean that the limp's bad. Like you.
No. It was I think the jam was losing.
What? No.
Well, we gave him whatever range we fucking gave him.
Yeah.
I would be hard pressed to believe it loses that much money.
I agree.
Because you have a good hand.
I agree.
Berkey,
Like you said,
I'm
it was
going to
10 years
regret this
ago.
one day, but I like your play in that hand.
Thank you, Jesse.
I might regret this.
I know I'm gonna get some shit at some point. We're gonna converse about some other hand, and you're gonna be like, well, you
Look,
liked my ace queen hand.
Look, it's
you
not
had
about that.
a
I'm just
plan.
happy that in less than a week's time, I've had you acknowledge that you appreciate that play, and I had Petrangelo acknowledge that I was the guy out there limping in the streets for the better part of 3 years. If I die with anything on my tombstone, I want it to say limping is pimping.
Look,
right.
you had a plan and it came through. Your plan was someone was going to do something. You were
That's
gonna jam.
true. I said
You
this the other
limped
day to somebody.
You limped to limp jam because you thought you get the spot, and
Yeah.
the spot came.
Yeah. Decisions were taken away from me at that point. What would have been hard is if they just checked their option. We had the C3.
I just think
But
that
I was comfortable in that node. I played it.
You weren't going to go bust in that.
No,
note.
I mean, I truly was. Like, I'd played.
Queen high board.
I'd played those spots.
Queen high.
No.
Yeah, if you don't know what the flop was,
I don't remember. There was no
there
sweat.
was no flop. You jammed.
It was literally no sweat. Oh, yeah, that's right.
There
He
was no
folded.
flop.
No,
That's right. He folded.
I'm saying he goes broke if it's
Oh,
queen
see,
high.
I don't go broke. Dan goes broke.
It's queen deuce, so Brent's got a set.
I mean, you're willing to go broke.
Right, yeah.
willing to fry.
But no, I had played those nodes a lot. Like the year and a half that I played online, I'd probably been in a formation like that where
Big limper guy.
it's a limp pot and, I have my range and
I have what I have.
yeah, just,
What would you have done with a hand like king 10 suited? That's the real question.
probably limp fold.
Limp?
I would have limp folded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correctly.
I would have limped. Look, I would have limped a lot wider there than I should have. Okay, so let's not congratulate me too much.
Right.
Anything that you deem openable from that spot, I would have limped.
If you had 4, so you limping?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We can't be doing that.
Don't worry,
And-
buddy. We're not here to congratulate you too much.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I
I remember
promise.
jamming.
And what I wouldn't have done is like limp ace X's. I was at least smart enough to know those were steals. So
That's fair.
So like my opening range is like aces and offsuit ace dust. And
Okay.
that's it.
All right.
That's probably it. And I don't even know if I opened the aces.
But like, you probably have like jacks.
Limp.
Plus. Limp?
Kings?
Limp.
Kings? You're living kings?
Kings I probably would open.
Open.
Gutless
Maybe-
scumbag limping kings.
I might jam. I might jam kings out of fear.
Gutless scumbag fear jam limping
For
kings.
guapo.
Wow, it all comes around after
Yeah.
all these years.
He's just over there being nice, quiet, doing his job.
Guapo's my friend. They're not my friends.
Do you think that Dan Smith is sitting here right now thinking about Berkey's hand being like this gutless scumbag?
Yeah,
limping ace
probably.
queen offsuit?
Yeah.
He should have called. Maybe
Wow.
Picking.
he should have called. Maybe he wouldn't have bubbled.
Wait a minute. So does that mean you would have
I
played
would have
like
changed everything.
you would have like limped ace king off?
I think so. Yeah. I don't think I would have played opens because I was just very uncomfortable playing like a three
didn't
or
wanna
four,
play
three or
serious
four
spot
S.
or whatever.
Well, just like a 3 or 4 SPR. I didn't know what to do because I auto C bet.
Limp
I was
is kinda
dire.
Cool. Did dire see bad? Yes.
So
Yeah.
I feel like now in this day and age, like limping would perform a lot worse because people are a lot more refined and have figured out how to play against it, and would just generally be aware that you should be quite tight regardless of how you VPIP. But
Yeah, that's
back
true.
then,
Like the limp
I
is
feel
strong,
like,
you over limp kind of
Right.
thing.
I feel like it was
versus-
more chaotic, and people were just willing to like put money in the pot and try to win the pot.
Especially if it's
Mhm.
me
Yeah.
because they just assign like I have idiot stamped on my forehead.
See, I would want to raise less against you because of that. Like,
Right.
If I felt that way, like
It's
like
weird.
if I think that somebody's like splashy and fishy and they limp, I'm just like I either do a lot of shoving or I tend to not raise small that often because
There's another
I
great
really
story.
don't want them to just like tank and be like okay and like stick it in with pocket deuces or whatever.
So we can move off of the 2016 Super Hour. Well, I'll wrap it with a Fedor story.
2015 wasn't it?
16. 15 was when
Ah.
Seaver and Rast played heads up. It was a 500K then.
Ras one, right?
Rast won, yeah.
That was a good year.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
was also
Good year.
super soft.
That was a fun year. That was actually a sad run out. I had a piece of the third place finisher and he got wildly screwed.
Who was in third?
Mr. Blanco Negro. He-
Connor.
I fucked
He
him really
lost,
good in the 2016 one. I busted him.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't fuck him really good. He fucked himself. He
You know
raised,
who,
he
you know who
raised
fucked
called.
him really good? Kerry Katz.
Sure.
With the aces?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Aces.
Yeah, he opened the cut. Honestly, he had my favorite hand, so I can't blame him. But he opened the cutoff of 5-4 suited. This is day 2. I 3-bet ace king suited from the small. and I flopped 2 overs on a flush draw versus his 2 pair, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, we turned him.
Got
we
it.
turned him dead.
Wow.
Was,
Turned him dead.
was Maurice Hawkins at that
No,
table?
but leave the segues to me, buddy. I wanted to wrap this on a Fedor story.
Chat's getting unruly.
Straight, bro, straight.
Connor got third in the 500K one where he got it in as a 4-1 favorite, lost, and then watched the 2 stacks get it in. Like the covering stack was a 4-1 favorite, and that also didn't hold.
Wow.
So like he misses the pay jump, 1 out of whatever it is, 20% of 20%,
Sure.
4% of the time.
Sounds
Sad
about right.
times.
So going
big
into the
pay jump.
final table, it was a big production back then. They had Tatiana on the floor with the microphone interviewing players. Like it was all on CBS Maine, not fucking sports. Jesse and who were you doing the break desk with? Kara, that's right.
Yeah,
Jesse and
break
Kara
desk,
on the break
Jess.
desk. So I mean, you walk into this like full production. This was before the studio was built. And you walk in, there's like CBS cameras everywhere, and I came decked out in a suit for the final table.
Yeah, you did.
Every day you were in a suit.
It was bold to save the final table suit. Like we could have just not got there, but Stitch hooked me up, and I was ready to go for that one. And here comes young Fedor.
Hold on, this was 2016.
Yeah.
Damn, you and Max Steinberg have like very similar timelines for this whole thing. That's cool.
Here comes in young Fedor, untucked button-down shirt, nice pants, and a bow tie. And I'm like,
yeah, I forgot about
what the
this.
hell is going on here? And he like made a joke that he wanted to be like me. But then we got to the crux of the story, and what had happened was he was walking over from Vidara, I think, to Aria, and a bird shit on him.
Oh, no.
So he had to make a quick stop in Crystal Shop, run up the Stitch, and get fitted for a final table apparel to get the pigeon shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Lucky.
It's good luck.
Good luck, obviously.
He got 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He ran out about
He got 1 and
perfect.
2.
Yeah, couldn't have. And then fucking the next day, Reiner's in the Colossus, just battling it out like a hero. Unbelievable.
Hey, that's where real heroes are born, Burke.
This is the kind of lore you guys are going to miss as the Only Friends podcast goes away. You're not going to know about the 2016 Reiner off of a $7 million score battling it out in the $500 Colossus for Ryan DePaulo.
Bro, I forgot about that Fedor outfit. He looks like, remember those like 1930s soda pop bars?
Yeah.
He looked simultaneously like the guy who works behind the counter and the kid who gets a soda.
Well, the untucked aspect of it really brought out the youth.
Do we have an image?
He just had like a baby face, but he also had like that tie that you would wear if you worked
It's like where they make the milkshake and they slide it down.
Yeah.
The whole bar.
Yeah, if you could find that, it was a great outfit.
Incredible.
Did everyone have to wear a tie or a suit? Or
Well, okay, so that was the other thing. I forgot to apologize to Petrangelo because I made fun of him way back then. There was supposed to be a dress code, and it was like business casual. So everybody, for the most part, dressed like relatively reasonably. Even if you were like wearing a hoodie or whatever, it was like a nice hoodie. And Petrangelo shows up in a fucking sweatsuit.
Oh, that's Fedor?
Yeah.
Look at him.
Wow.
But
He does look like he's going to serve
But
up
what
the
you
mean
don't see,
milkshake.
what you don't see what's going on here is like that's fully untucked, which is the weirdest thing. Like
But you
wearing
don't really
a tie
see, but
untucked.
you don't see it because
Yeah, sitting down, it's totally fine.
Right, so it looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pulled it off.
Definitely
great.
a milkshake provider.
Mm-hmm.
What's the hair too?
And he's got that baby face.
So Ali
he's
called you
looking
a
so-
craft cocktail bartender.
24 times.
Yeah.
The Bic on
It was
so
it was the
fast.
best. It was
So
the
Nikki
best.
P.
He showed up in a full sweatsuit, and I just remember thinking like, we were supposed to have a dress code. What the fuck is this?
Like a grout fit.
Yeah, like couldn't have given less of a shit. But I get it now. Like that's definitely his shtick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's
Respect to
wild
Nikki
too?
P.
That was like early Nikki P playing high rollers, somewhat early. And I remember I was on stage like getting ready for the break desk, and I listened down, and Nikki P's in a pot with like Carrie or someone, and he's just talking trash. Like while they're
That
in
sounds
the pot.
about right.
Like he's not talking, like he's not mean, but he's like talking and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this kid just like showed up, plays online, and just balls to the
I
wall,
feel
like
like
talking in hands.
Out
It's
here
pretty sick.
yapping.
Yeah,
I feel
it was
like I
pretty
might.
impressive.
I feel like I might remember that hand.
Impressive.
I feel like I might remember that hand because I think it was day 2, towards the end of the day, we all got moved to a table where it was me, Carrie, Perkins, Nikki P, and a couple others. And Perkins like was just full yap mode. Like, I don't know how much caffeine he had in him, but like we played a pot where I think I like 3-bet him with jacks and blasted off post or whatever, and he's just chirping the whole fucking time. And I'm thinking like, we're playing for a lot of money, man. Can you give me a break for 5 seconds?
I miss
they were having
Perkins,
a good time.
man. We need him back in the poker scene.
Yeah, bring him back.
He got regulated to private games, and it's sad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot you guys had your battle.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Good
Bring
old
him back.
Perkins.
Yeah.
You guys should have a round 2. You should hit him up for round 2.
I want to when I'm richer and have more money and don't have to sell, but that'll be a while.
Sure.
He'll play.
Just 2 more trips to Florida, you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get a 9 big blind per
Okay.
100 spot.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of nice if you can negotiate that. All right, on to the Maurice news. It's not really much news. It's more of just a follow-up. For anybody who's been following the show throughout the last 3 years, we've covered this story multiple times. The first time this popped up on the scene was maybe a year and a half ago, but basically every time Maurice wins something, it comes back up. In this particular instance, it's Randy who has been very vocal about it because he's the one who's owed. And I don't recall exactly when we first talked about this story, but it was a little over a year ago, I think. And it was right around that time when Maurice had, I think, maybe taken over the Ring leader board or whatever, and he was basically getting all those interviews. I think it was Tiffany Michelle who did like a really tone deaf interview with him, where everybody in the community was just like, what the fuck is going on here? And then that was followed up by Cairo doing like a long form interview with him and kind of giving him his stage and giving him his shine, not pushing him on all the debts, kind of letting him skirt around the tough questions and things of that nature. Well, in the process of all that, Randy came forward and basically said, look, Maurice has owed me 6 figures for 6 years. I used to back him. He stole from me. He owes all this money back to me. He's tried to claim he was going to make good multiple times, and now I'm coming public with it. This is the follow-up to that. So Randy actually took him to court. He did get a judgment ruled against him. I don't know if he got his wages garnished like in one district or multiple. Again, it's been a long time since we first covered this, but I do know that, you know, there was, okay, so actually it was 2022. I'm looking at the Chad Holloway article now. The title is, I will pay him when I can, after backer calls him out again. So yeah, it looks like 3 years ago, which would have been 2019, was the first time Randy Garcia called out Maurice, and that was before the Only Friends pod. 2022 looks like about May, so roughly 2 years ago, or 3 years ago again, I suppose, was when he was awarded a settlement of $115,828. From there, obviously, Maurice has not paid. Randy has gone to social media to provide receipts demonstrating communication between the two of them, as well as further corroborating that Maurice has screwed over a bunch of people and still owes a lot of money. I guess this is just the triannual reminder that Maurice is still heavily in debt to this man and owes. Kind of a warning to everybody that you shouldn't loan him money. I'm aware of at least one other person that he owes 6 figures to, but I don't think they want to be revealed publicly. In any event, this time it looks like mid-March of this year, Maurice had replied to Randy and said, normally I would just not give a fuck, but I'm going to be 100 with you. Give me 30 days. And if I don't pay you, then you know I truly don't care. You'll be paid in that time. You've been patient, and I noticed just 30 days. Obviously, that time has come and gone. He still has not been paid. And in that period of time that he has not paid, Maurice has cashed for $577,000 in 2023, $853,000 in 2024, and $291,000 so far this year in 2025. So it's not like he hasn't made some money.
Yeah, he's not playing 100Ks.
No, but as we've kind of discussed with
It might-
ROIs and
it's-
MTTs.
Exactly. It's not
Also,
all
it's,
profit.
well, who knows how much he's getting to take home, because it's almost certain that this isn't the only person he's running this ruse with.
Right.
I'm sure he has a lot of debts.
Mhm.
I'm sure he's, panhandling for buy-ins in a lot of situations, unless he has a full-time backer now. But, if he does, it would be at least smart of that person to consider consolidating some of Maurice's debt on his behalf and then putting it on makeup.
Yeah.
To my understanding, from people who travel the circuit, Maurice is very talented at what he does. And a lot of that talent comes into play when it is asked to come up with buy-ins. And he's just very good at, basically getting people to believe in him and front the money, by which, how much he gives back. Who knows? So, I think it's important to highlight these grifts when they occur. There have been a lot of notable names in our community that have, at one point or another, fallen on hard times and had a lot of debt. We just had JRB on a couple weeks ago, and he'll be the first to tell you that he owes, and he's trying to make good. I think the big difference is that every big name that I could think of that has run up large tabs with other people in order to stay in action, when they made money, they paid.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem to be the case with Maurice. It seems to be just a never-ending cycle of leech a bunch of money for buy-ins off of other, unsuspecting people, make a bunch of money for yourself, and then don't give any of it back to the people that you actually owe money to. What isn't clear, I guess, is how much of this 116K is repayment for loans and buy-ins as opposed to profit splits.
Earnings, yeah.
Yeah. So not that it changes Randy's case at all, but I care a little less if you just didn't get your profit chop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't, whatever.
And you took on the risk. You
Yeah.
should,
I'm obviously being very charitable in my interpretation, but it feels more like straight theft when it's just you gave this guy 100K worth of buy-ins and he just never gave you a penny back.
Right.
Or if he was cashing, not only did he keep your profit share, but he also kept your buy-in initially too. It's that's just obviously straight theft. But I mean, there isn't a lot to say on this that hasn't been said a million times over. I think that it's important for the media to stop glamorizing him when he does well. I think it's insane that he gets coverage when he wins. I truly do. I made this point a couple years ago whenever the Tiffany Michelle interview happened in Cairo, which makes me think it wasn't 2022. It feels
that was later than 2022.
Yeah, it had to be more recent, maybe a year ago or 2 years at the most. But I really think that there's a responsibility from the people who are covering the game in an honest and ethical way to just blackball these types of people. You should just never cover a Maurice win.
Right.
Outside of
hey, this guy won, come collect your money.
Exactly.
Right.
Every time I wrote an article about Maurice winning a ring, it would have a giant bold-faced print of man who owes $116,000 to Randy Garcia wins circuit ring.
Right.
That's the headline.
Yeah.
Instead of the glazing.
Yeah, it's
17 rings.
Right. And look, I get it. I'm sure there was a point in time when poker was a lot seedier than it is now, or maybe it was understood to just be more seedy, and you have I don't know what's going on, but I'm watching it unfold.
These bolts attacking the trash dump.
Okay. He'll be okay. But yeah, you have
Guapo just went
Okay.
trash I don't care about. Things that I possess, I don't want him to eat.
All right.
Don't understand.
Okay.
It's not.
Don't eat the merchandise.
It's not about it's not about the actual consumption of the thing. It's about the destruction of the thing. If he's gonna destroy trash, okay, we'll be okay.
But a soft white hat.
That's right. That's
money.
Then he gets in the habit of fucking eating hats.
Right.
You do have a lot of eating hats.
Yeah.
No more hats.
No more hats. That's not how we want to live.
Hats for
No
bats.
more hats. Just pay.
That's not how we want to live.
Just pay for more hats.
So Kiro kind of got dragged into this because I guess he also did an interview with Randy, or maybe with Randy and Maurice, that was never made public.
Did he get dragged, or did he do this to himself?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
But he basically replied and said, I want to clear up a few things and then I'm done. I set up a video call so Randy could talk to Maurice. Maurice agreed to pay Randy. They apologized to each other. They used to be very close, but money fucked that up from what I understand. Will confirm Maurice clearly said he would pay Randy back. I did ask both to leave me out after that. I learned my lesson. Mind my own business. Never loan people money. Maurice should 100% pay Randy back, but I also can't make that happen. I did what I could in setting up the phone call. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know to what degree he was involved outside of the initial interview piece that he did with Maurice. And I remember Kiro talking to me about it in the time, and I was just like, yeah, it's not a good fucking look. Like, and this is another thing, like, not to get on my soapbox, but in the space that we're in, where content is constantly, being hammered out, you want to be first, you want to be the most, I guess, like the loudest or the most watched, or whatever the case may be. Whenever a story cracks, we've all seen the way that like Joey benefited from the cheating scandals in Paso and HCL, and we obviously had some of our most watched content from the HCL stuff or whatever. I do think that it's a very important to be mindful of what you're about to engage in on the front side in order to get the back end of clicks. Like the Doug Airball, for example, is a great example. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, if you have an end goal here of platforming somebody who's about to like be totally unhinged and go off, then you have to own the downside of that, right? And it's the same thing with Kiro in this particular instance. It's like a very bad interview was done. I believe I don't want to misremember, so I don't want to keep like throwing them under the bus. But anyway, a very bad interview was done with Maurice where they were glazing him over a win, and this guy clearly owes half the community a lot of money. Yeah. And the follow-up to that, if you're in Kiro's shoes where you want to tell maybe a different slant to the story and you feel like you're the appropriate voice to do so, or the appropriate platform to do so and have Maurice on, it's really critical to have that fleshed out and know what it is that you're trying to get across. Because what ultimately ended up happening is he just did another version of that same interview that glazed Maurice, that allowed him to try to clear his name, that allowed him to try to prop himself up as being the best in the fucking world, and everybody was upset with it. And then he got a ton of backlash for it. And it's like, yeah, man, like, we're not investigative journalists. We're not fucking Barbara Walters and Walter Cronkite. If you're not going to ask the tough fucking questions,
be sure.
You can't handle the truth.
Well, it's like, if you're not willing to ask the tough questions and make your guests very uncomfortable in a situation where the community is calling for that, then don't have them on.
Yeah.
There's been a million situations where we chose not to have the person on to fend for themselves because I don't want to have to ask the really hard, awkward question of, did you do X or Y or Z? Is this person lying? And then I don't want to have to be the one to push back. Again,
Did you do it?
We kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, but like the whole Rogan fallout that's happening now, where he gets to hide behind I'm just a bro asking some questions to other bros.
Yeah.
And,
Are you not a bro?
Some of them might be conspiracy theorists. Like, so what? It's like, well, your show is watched by more people than the news. So it's like you have a certain responsibility that when you hear something that is probably widely believed to be false, you push back a little
bit.
Just a little bit. You don't just go, wow, I didn't know that.
Let him cook. You don't let him
I
cook?
did not know that about the JFK files. Wow. Tell me more. So the pyramids are upside down, you say? Tell me more about that. I mean, I'm just an inquisitive guy asking
I'm kind of
questions.
interested. Why not?
Right, but it's like whenever that becomes now Dan Bilzerian talking about like how awful Israel is, it's just like, at some point you need a qualified voice to step in. And my whole thing was like, I don't pretend to be the qualified voice, so I don't want to touch things that require them unless we can get an authority in the room.
Right.
And I think that's a good policy to uphold.
Because you're just a bro. You want to be a bro. You don't want to be the attacker.
No, I'm not a trained.
Guy.
a trained fucking journalist,
You're just
and
a
I know
guy
that.
doing things on
Just
the podcast.
out here limping ace queen.
Yeah, you're just out here feeling your way through, making your way downtown, walking fast.
It's like if you're gonna ask
Gutless scumbag.
me, I would be in a position to ask a tough strategy question to somebody. I would be in
what
a
would you
position
do with ace queen?
to ask an operator why their security isn't better because I'm a consumer of that thing. But like, yeah, I'm not going to be in a position to ask people, you know, why they don't pay back their backers.
You're just a goofball.
I am none of these things. I don't know why.
I need to find Nacho a job, by the way. I feel bad.
I thought
I
about
think Nacho's
writing.
doing okay.
I think I might become a journalist and write some articles, and the first one's gonna be titled "If I had to use 2 words to describe Berkey's play in the 2016 Super High Roller Bowl."
Great.
They would be gutless.
Rising journalist. If we get a GPI nom too.
Yeah, it might. Take a photo with it. You can get a double nom.
Let's go.
Take a photo with it.
I've always been looking for a double.
They
nom.
might fuck you and put you in the same category, though.
Mm.
What's that? Oh,
Media content of the
Sometimes
year.
they just lump a bunch of shit together.
Yeah.
Like, photo, article, book, movie. Put it all in one.
you know, Berkey, I've always been thinking about how I've hit all the achievements that I've been looking for in life, and if I could round it out with a nice GPI
Yeah.
award, it would really, really solidify me as a human being.
I can't argue with you there, Jess. I mean, it does sound like that's the path forward.
A hole in our hearts was filled when we won.
Best
right.
podcast guest.
Do you guys? Oh, you guys did win an award. I thought we were talking about one time about how you hadn't won any awards, and it was ridiculous.
Trophies. He hasn't won any trophies.
I've never.
Oh,
I've
they
never
didn't
watched-
give you the
they did not give
trophy.
me- we finally got the GPI trophy.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, our
We
track
got
our
one?
track record
Oh,
went.
Baby, look at that thing. That's a
One for dead
hashtag
money?
right there.
Our track record went. Yeah, so we won a GPI in 2016 for Dead Money.
That Landon hasn't seen.
We did not get nominated for To Be Determined, which is
Landon
very
probably also hasn't seen.
very sad.
I have seen that actually.
Actually, maybe we did get nominated, but we didn't win.
How could we not get nominated?
I can't remember. I
It
feel
was
like,
great.
I feel
I
like
liked
I
it.
didn't.
Yeah, maybe not.
I'm pretty sure we didn't make the final cut. And I think if I remember correctly, the category that we were thrown into, we were like a 98-minute long documentary, and we were up against a commercial that Phil Galfond had filmed with Jungle Man that was like 90 seconds
That's
long.
right.
So anyway, we didn't make the finals that year. Then the following year, we won our first attempt with Only Friends. Then we made the finals the second year, and then we were snubbed the third year.
Look at us.
We
So young.
we just progressively get worse.
Look at
Yeah.
how young you guys
Yep.
were.
Oh my.
Wow. Yeah, we do feel young there.
Yeah.
I can't fit
Unbelievable.
into that suit anymore.
Not like now when Landon's still young.
Mm-hmm.
I was so mad none of you guys would give the speech.
Were you?
Yeah,
Come on.
We can't give the speech. It's your show, man.
it's our show. It's Only Friends.
Mm.
You're the friends.
Yeah. Which means you're not the friend, which makes you the host, which makes you the speaker.
Yeah.
I think he said one time, he said my show, and I said our show, and you said the show wouldn't exist without me.
Right. So you get
And
up
we
there
said,
and you
yeah,
talk.
you're probably right.
Spot the lie.
There's no lie. That's why you speak. Look at how happy we are.
Melissa
Yeah.
looks comatose.
Yeah.
Melissa looks comatose.
Melissa does. Look at Connie.
Yeah, his mouth is open.
Catching flies.
Fucking catching flies over there.
Landon looks like he's taking the rest of you on a field trip.
Landon looks good.
Yeah.
He put that outfit together like 2 hours prior, I think.
Oh, you didn't lay that out for him?
That was my.
Jeno did. Jeno
that was
did.
my funeral. Was that my funeral outfit?
No, I think Jeno took you to get that.
Jeno and I might have gotten that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
We
was.
were supposed to be a part of the opening bit with Platt, but Melissa and I were
Late.
super late. We took an
Weird.
Uber. We took an Uber from the house, like, I don't know, we probably left like half hour, 35 minutes prior.
No chance.
I assume it wasn't the GPI traffic that did us in,
No.
but some major event must have been going
It's
on.
probably a hockey game or something.
Something, because we ended up getting rerouted where we came in like the back way off it took us like an hour to get there. I've never
All the
been in,
construction.
it was wild.
Yeah.
I think I was still in the anorexia bro phase back then. I'm skinny in that.
Yeah.
Real skinny.
You ain't fin that suit now.
The first
I
step
don't
is
think
admitting it, Landon.
I was so skinny back. Wow.
Wow.
You can't tell when you're you. When you look back, you're like, oh my God. You can't tell when you're you.
I never once met you and thought that you were anorexic, for what it's worth.
Also
So you,
agreed.
He got
hit it
pretty,
well
he got
if that
pretty
was
thin
the-
there for a
I
second.
weighed 180. I'm
Yeah.
6'5".
damn.
Yeah,
that is skinny.
I
I'm
I mean,
pretty
Melissa
sure
made the
I'm, like,
joke. I wasn't
170.
actually, but I thought back then when I was losing weight that carbs are bad, and I think sugar was bad. I just
Sugar
didn't
is
eat.
bad.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I just didn't eat anything that wasn't like either meat or like a pear.
Yeah.
I was eating pears. And shit. Shout out to all the pears.
Remember?
That's a wild
Guapo would bring in
combo.
empanadas, and you would like just eat the meat out of the empanada.
Yeah, I was no bread, no
Yeah.
bread. Wow,
You take the bread off of a Subway.
a lot of jump
sandwich.
rope.
A lot of jump rope.
Yeah, so if you're trying to lose weight, jump rope.
And
Don't eat carbs.
Oh my god, I just got fond memories of young Jesse when I was living in Argentina and playing online poker in
Living
like
in Argentina?
2011.
You and Nacho?
And I would just go eat empanadas and play online poker at the coffee shop every day.
No jump
No,
rope?
I didn't know
No
Nacho at the
jump
time,
rope.
but every newsstand had a card player Latin America, and Nacho was always on the cover. He
Oh
was
my
like
God.
he was like the guy.
I mean, he still
He
is
was the
the
only
guy.
guy of Argentina,
Bro.
really. Well, now there's a couple, but
Playing the game.
He's definitely still the guy.
Definitely
he's
still a
definitely the
goofball.
guy.
He's so funny.
What did you do to Matt Savage, by the way?
He's
going hard.
such.
About what?
I love Matt, but he is such an idiot. And I mean that as a term of endearment, but
Do you?
because it's so
it sounds
obvious.
like you don't.
No, but it's so
Nah, he
obvious
does.
to me. So what happened is Nimi posted a video of a dealer dealing out of a shoe and basically said, don't really see any downside to this. Wasn't slower, didn't have any errors, yada, yada, yada. And Savage goes, it has upsides, but there's issues that make it difficult, like the felts, humidity, speed, and training to get everybody to a competent level. And he's implying that, like, I say it's so easy to retrain all the dealers. The reason he's an idiot is not for saying that, like, retraining would be hard. Maybe it would be, maybe it wouldn't be. I don't know. It doesn't seem that hard to pull a fucking card from a shoe. But let's assume it is. The reason he's an idiot is because he's hell-bent on banning cell phones from all poker tables. And somehow he thinks that the undertaking of banning cell phones would just be a breeze. Just be like oh, hey, everybody. 10,000 of you in the room? Yeah, I'm going to need you to walk over to those lockers and just go ahead and put your phones in them if you don't mind. Like, what are we talking about, man? If there's a problem and there's a clear solution, then sure, the path from A to B might
maybe
not
you're
be...
allowed to keep them in your pocket.
Okay, fine, whatever. But, like, it's not going to be an easy task without any downside to just start, like, telling recreationals, hey, get off the phone.
Right.
You know? Especially, like, how are you going to police it in cash? Are you going to 86 me? Because you can't give me a penalty. What are you going to take a blind?
Where
does it go?
Get a 1-round penalty.
Right?
You have to post the blinds.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'll go take a shit. Like, what are you going to do to people in cash if they're quote unquote abusing the cell phone rule? It's not that. I think it's really silly to think that we're going to put the genie back in the bottle and, like, eliminate cell phones. Okay, fine.
Well, taking away from cash would be a terrible idea, anyways.
Agreed.
Just because you'd alienate the people you really need to play cash games.
Exactly.
But
obviously, that's
tournaments,
good.
I think, is like
I posted a picture of a guy who, RIP, he's no longer with us. I mean, he's still alive, but, like,
But he passed away.
not in poker. Where, and maybe this is why, he ran up so much debt he had to disappear. But I posted a picture of him playing like
3
a
laptops.
10 a.m. session. He has 2 phones and 3 laptops behind him, and he's working while
I'm
playing.
working here.
Yeah.
bro. Dan Smith,
Shaq.
Dan Shack used
Yeah.
to trade like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of silver
Yeah.
off to the side of like a 3K tournament.
Yeah. It's just like, and like, look, like if you want to die on the hill of, like, you want to ban all technology, like, okay, I'm not going to tell you that it's a bad idea because you can't implement it. I'm going to tell you it's a bad idea because it's going to alienate your player pool. But, like, whatever, that's my opinion. I think it's really lazy argument to say, like, we can't retrain the dealers. Have you been to the World Series? Buddy, they're not trained to begin with. There's no retraining necessary. There's just training.
Yeah, it's like
Where's the initial training?
everybody's in its dog. That
I
can
think
learn.
it's the verbiage that seems really heavy-handed, like saying that and training time to reach a competent level. Like, the rules of No Limit Hold'em haven't changed. Like, what we're asking is just the pitch to be changed. And I'm not trying to minimize how difficult their job is. It's just there's not a whole lot of training that needs to take place. It's just using the shoe or just
Right.
sliding the cards. Like, it doesn't seem that intensive. If you will.
More importantly,
Step
like,
one,
if
shuffle
we're
deck.
talking specifically about the WSOP as, like, the hardest place to fix this problem or whatever, There is such a high percentage of dealers that cannot get a pitch out.
What is the pros of the shoe? It's just easier to deal.
What are you doing?
He's got to go. When you got to go, you got to go.
Right, but like,
Hey man, he's 1 for 2. He's 1 for 2. He didn't go through our shot.
but he was like, he was like conscious that there's a camera there, right? And instead of like understanding that the shot is on me, he stands up directly
right
in
at
it
you.
and then looks at the confidence monitor like, "Am I blocking something?" It's like, "Yes, of course you are."
I think Hunt did the same thing
Deers-
He
yesterday.
did.
Deers freeze in the headlights for a reason.
Hunt walked back from the bathroom and he ducked under every single shot that the camera wasn't on, and the only one that mattered, he just like walked right through. Don't worry, I'm not here. Fuck
Hey,
me,
man,
I
you
guess.
know,
I feel like with the training, it's just like shuffle deck into shoe, put shoe in.
Yeah, I mean,
slide.
don't minimize it also, Landon, but I mean, it
I'm
is.
not.
It's the
It's
way
like a
that-
3-step
it's-
process.
Yeah, it's just the way that he's wording it. It sounds like there's this whole training thing that needs to happen, and I just don't see it that
Is
way.
it not a 3-step process?
I mean, I don't know what goes into dealer training. I don't care either, to be honest. I'm just telling you that the dealers at the World Series across the board are so fucking bad that it is impossible.
not
He's
gonna-
definitely just going to walk right through this.
of course, yeah.
The dealers at the World Series across the board are so incredibly bad, and so few of them have any experience pitching cards to begin with, that this could only be an upgrade.
I mean, the color up situation where they matched the colors of the chips at the table, not great. You know?
Yeah,
Oh my God, that was insane.
yeah. I mean, like whatever. There's a million problems, and I'm sure
Lot
we're
to
going to
be
hear all about them, and
desired
it's going to
there.
be so great that we don't have to talk about them this summer. I might just take a vacation.
No, you're not.
I literally
No,
just might go
you're
back
not.
east for the summer, enjoy the
All right,
fucking
go ahead.
fireflies, bonfires, and live my goddamn life
Look,
peacefully.
you need
Yeah,
to
we'll
win the
believe it
main.
when we see it,
Yeah.
Berkey.
He needs
Okay,
to win
well-
the main to get him unstuck. He's not going anywhere.
Hey, fellas, I'd like to apologize for walking in front of the camera during Berkey's
No, you're
dealer
not.
pitch tirade. I really regret it. I was drinking at the time.
I appreciate
Just a goofball.
I just
Just a goofball.
I just appreciate everything that was going through your head at that particular moment. Like it was done with our benefit in mind, I'm sure. But
It
man,
was
getting from A
somehow-
to B like wasn't happening.
Despite how it came off, your benefit was at the top of my.
I do believe that.
Not
shoe
ruining the
seems
shot was
cool.
actually at the top of my mind,
I like this idea.
despite the execution.
I like the shoe idea.
Me too. I think that you
Slide-
I think you
slide
reduce
the
misdeals,
cards.
not increase
Oh, yeah,
them.
right.
personally.
Slide the cards and you can't see them.
Yeah, people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you'll get way less hands out per hour." It's like, no, you won't.
Not really.
A fast pitch is not what gets hands out.
I know.
It's the shuffle. It's
the
the people
players.
putting their goddamn blinds up.
Yeah.
Do you know how often?
just the players.
Can the
taking a long
dealers
time.
just stop telling people to put their blinds in? Like, can we all just agree that it's not the dealer's fault if you don't have your fucking blind in?
Right.
If you muck under the gun, or if you muck thinking you're under the gun and you're actually a big blind, it's your fucking fault.
It's on you.
Because I can't take the game slowing down anymore for dealers going, "You're big blind. You're big." It's like, I've been here for 20 years. I know I'm good for it. I'm not
Yeah.
going anywhere.
Well, how about in a tournament they do it? Where
Right.
you have to, you're forced to put it in.
They,
and
they
they're
only
trained
teach
to.
them.
They're right to.
Sorry,
No,
they
no, go
only
ahead.
teach them two things going into the World Series. I swear, because these are the only things they know.
Mm-hmm.
Is you have for the love of God, do not deal them cards unless they put out their big blind, and they can't be on their cell phone.
Correct.
They
Yes.
can't you'll have.
And that's
I,
interpreted as like at any point, or if they have live cards.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
yeah.
I
it's
can't
just
tell
wild.
you the number of times I've helped a dealer like split a pot at the World Series because it's their third day or whatever, or I've like taught them how to do something, and then they just like look at me and like, you can't be on your cell phone, and I'm not even in the hand, and I'm like, bro, are you out of your fucking mind? Like, oh, it's so tilting.
It really
It's
is.
so tilting.
Well, lucky for you, Savage is going to abolish all cell phone technology at the table, so you won't have to worry about that any longer.
That's fair.
It's kind of
and
weird.
then Jesse will pass away.
It is kind of weird that like the
My
highest
ADD will pass.
form of what we want poker to be for tournaments like has this kind of employee staffing issue. Like imagine the biggest like referees or whatever for NBA finals just don't know what a travel is.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you're right.
And it's like, how is this? how is that going on? Like,
Yeah, I had to leave the thread.
I mean,
I can't take the amount of replies in this thread are just. I had to literally leave.
imagine being like, yo, like you just double
Like, he
dribbled. He's
tagged
like, I
me
don't know
in
what
a
that
thread.
means.
I was literally about to say they call double dribble, and you're like, it's the tip off, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's how it is at the
You're
World
like,
Series.
the 3-pointer's good. What?
Just learn from me, kids. Play cash. You'll be fine. Like, let's just abolish tournament poker. Make it
Tournaments
easy
are
for
cool,
everybody.
man. What
Oh
the
man,
heck?
I went to the Win and played a little
They
cash
used to be
yesterday
cool.
for a couple hours, and I forgot how great the Win
So
is.
liberating.
It's insane, like the quality difference between the Win and like basically any other. I love Bellagio Poker Room, and it has nothing to do with like the poker rooms part of it, but just like
No,
the
but
Wynn is just such a good casino. It's
There's
insane.
definitely something about Bellagio Poker Room that sucks the life out of you. I don't know if it's the lighting, the color scheme, but it's just so desperate. And I love this place.
Yeah,
I
but
play
again,
there every day.
It's not like the floor's fault. It's
No,
the
no, yeah,
Bellagio's
it's not
fault.
staff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's just something about that particular room that is desperate for a makeover.
Yeah.
And I think that's like pretty. It has to be the oldest room in Vegas at this point. I think.
Wow.
No, it has to be. Aria's newer. Wynn is revamped.
You're just talking about
Venetian
rooms that have
is
You're
relevant
talking about
games.
You're talking
right?
about on the strip.
Well, yes, on the strip, Brian.
Have you been to the Orleans?
Okay. It still might be older than the Orleans.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm almost positive it's older than the Orleans. I don't know when Station Casino started, but like, pretty sure Bellagio opened in 2000.
Is it older than Ping Pang Pong?
What?
Orleans isn't part of
Ping
Stations
Pong.
Casino.
What's the other one?
Yeah, Boyd.
Boyd. Yeah. Is that who owns Palms?
Maybe.
Anyway, point
But
stands.
Hugh Hefner on Palms.
Point stands. Caesar's Room has moved twice and no longer exists.
Yeah.
MGM's moved 5 times, and don't get me wrong, it's the shittiest version of it
Yeah.
now. But
Obviously, Wynn is
still,
Wynn.
Wynn-
Aria's new.
Wynn moved from Wynn to Encore.
Yeah.
Aria's
Venetian's new.
Aria's new
Yeah.
as of like 2009. Venetian's brand new of this year.
The Golden Nugget is officially the oldest poker room
That
on
would
the strip.
okay,
There
but
you
that's
go.
not the strip.
The Nuggly.
Venetian's new
Boulevard.
room's sweet, by the way. I just finally
is
went
nice.
up there. That's a cool room. I
Yeah, Matt's been doing great over there.
had a funny run with the floor guy in a good way. Wait, Matt's been doing? Oh,
I'm down like 800K.
I tuned in actually the other day and
Can't believe-
and
Thought you
didn't
won the
watch you
biggest
win a
pot
pot.
there.
That was rough.
Yeah, it's all downhill from winning the biggest pot.
I had one winning. I won 250K in a session.
That's
there,
how they get you.
and I'm down 800K in the room.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
At mostly 1-2 or bigger.
mean, who
Almost
knows?
all 1-2 with squid.
At least you get a
Oh,
nice
so
meal.
bigger.
No, but it's like not bigger. Everybody's so short.
That,
It's
that
just
nice
like a
meal
lot of
looked like
all
the
in.
Last Supper.
Yeah.
Oh God.
All right, we got to get out of here. I can't do this anymore. I need to save something for
3
the
more
rest
days,
of the
Berk.
year. All right, that's gonna do it for us today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. For Jesse, as always, bringing just the life that you bring to the show. We really appreciate you these last few weeks. We'll be back tomorrow, noon Pacific. As always, get your fucking head out of my shot, man. It's incredible. That was totally on accident.
I don't know. It's like 50-50 whether it was.
No,
Nah,
that
that
one was
had to be
definitely unintentional.
intentional.
Christ almighty. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys all at noon tomorrow.
Peace.
not to put me in this